Artificial intelligence is reshaping the global balance of power through a structural paradox. It simultaneously democratizes destructive capability while concentrating infrastructural control. The result is a landscape where states must aggressively secure physical inputs, compute, energy, semiconductor supply chains, while struggling to govern the societal outputs that propagate far beyond any single jurisdiction. Artificial intelligence is reshaping the global balance of power through a structural paradox. It simultaneously democratizes destructive capability while concentrating infrastructural control. The result is a landscape where states must aggressively secure physical inputs, compute, energy, semiconductor supply chains, while struggling to govern the societal outputs that propagate far beyond any single jurisdiction. UNIDIR, the United Nations Institute for Disarmament Research, has scheduled a global conference on AI, security, and ethics for 2026, formally acknowledging that AI development and deployment actively shape national, regional, and global security environments. AI is no longer treated as a frontier question. It is recognized as a present force variable in international security calculations. Welcome to the strategic frontier. Ian Bremmer, founder of the Eurasia Group, and Mustafa Suleyman, founder of DeepMind and Inflection AI, made this argument formally in Foreign Affairs, warning that AI will transform the power balance between states and the corporations driving the technology. Their thesis is direct. Policymakers are already behind the curve, and if they fail to catch up, the window to shape outcomes may close permanently. According to analysis published by Geopolitical Monitor, states are over-securitizing inputs and under-governing outputs, leaving the most consequential domains of AI power largely unregulated and open to capture. The pattern is visible across major economies. The United States Congress is actively legislating AI applications, but failing to address the physical infrastructure those applications run on. Congress has built a national framework for AI risk, identified the dangers of regulatory fragmentation, and linked AI to national power. Yet compute capacity, energy supply, and the industrial base sustaining AI deployment remain outside the legislative perimeter. This creates a structural vulnerability. China and the Gulf states are not treating infrastructure as an afterthought. They are aligning compute, energy, industrial policy, and national security into integrated strategies. If American deployment slows while competitors coordinate across those same dimensions, the U.S. lead could erode even if American firms continue producing the most capable models. The strategic question is not who builds the best AI, it is who controls the infrastructure that makes AI operational at scale. Nature published arguments that nations are increasingly placing AI sovereignty, control over crucial AI infrastructure and systems at the core of their security and growth agendas. This is not a theoretical posture, it is an active policy shift visible across multiple regions. The sovereignty model treats compute capacity, data infrastructure, and model development as strategic assets, comparable to energy reserves or defense industrial bases. The competing model, open innovation driven by private firms operating across borders, is championed by Silicon Valley but increasingly challenged by governments that view dependence on foreign AI infrastructure as an unacceptable security liability. Whether AI sovereignty strategies pursued by China and the Gulf states will prove more effective than the open innovation approach favored by U.S. technology firms remains unresolved. What is confirmed is the trajectory. The global economy is being reorganized around national security, technological sovereignty, and supply chain resilience. The result, according to GCC Business Watch analysis, is a world economy that may become more stable in some respects but less efficient in others. Efficiency is being traded for control. Lockton's 2026 cyber threat report identifies three primary drivers of increasingly complex cyber risk: AI-enabled attacks, geopolitically motivated intrusions, and internal corporate decision failures. The third driver is significant. An increasing share of losses stems from companies' own decisions rather than external attackers. The threat surface is expanding from within as much as from without. The U.S. National Academies concluded that AI will elevate near-term cybersecurity risks, but that long-term security depends less on restricting access to AI capabilities and more on building resilient systems as those capabilities spread globally. This finding carries a strategic implication. Export controls and capability restrictions may buy time, but they cannot serve as a permanent strategy. AI-driven cyber capabilities are difficult to measure, making risk harder to manage. The National Academy's assessment is that long-term security will depend on whether defensive capabilities can scale alongside the threats they are intended to counter. The actual scale of AI-enabled threat escalation versus defensive AI capability scaling is not yet quantified. The asymmetry between offensive diffusion and defensive consolidation is the central unresolved variable. The Bremer-Suleyman thesis published in Foreign Affairs identifies a structural transformation in the relationship between sovereign states and the corporations that build AI systems. AI companies are accumulating power traditionally reserved for nation-states. The ability to shape information environments, influence labor markets, redirect capital flows, and project strategic capability across borders. CNAS, the Center for a New American Security, has drawn an explicit parallel. Just as nuclear weapons revolutionized 20th century geopolitics, artificial intelligence is primed to transform 21st century power dynamics. The comparison is not exact. Nuclear weapons concentrated power in states. AI distributes capability across firms, individuals, and non-state actors, but the scale of transformation is comparable. States that once regulated telecommunications, energy, and finance as strategic sectors now face a technology that cuts across all of those domains simultaneously. The state corporate power balance is not shifting in one direction. It is fragmenting across multiple dimensions, with some powers accruing to firms, some to states that control infrastructure, and some to actors who exploit the ungoverned spaces in between. The strategic consequences are converging on three fronts. First, infrastructure control is becoming the primary determinant of AI power. States that align compute, energy, and industrial policy with national security strategy gain structural advantage. States that legislate applications while leaving infrastructure ungoverned create exploitable gaps. Second, the cybersecurity balance will be decided by whether defensive systems can scale at the pace of capability diffusion. The National Academy's framework is clear. Restriction is a short-term tool. Resilience is the long-term answer. Third, the state-corporate relationship is entering a renegotiation phase with no settled outcome. Firms hold capability, states hold jurisdiction. The tension between those positions will define the next decade of AI governance. The timeline over which AI might erode or consolidate U.S. geopolitical dominance remains unspecified. What is confirmed is that the competitive landscape is no longer defined by model quality alone. It is defined by infrastructure, sovereignty strategy, and the governance of outputs that states have not yet learned to control. Welcome to the strategic frontier. Stay vigilant. A. What is confirmed is that the competitive landscape is no longer defined by model quality alone. It is defined by infrastructure, sovereignty strategy, and the governance of outputs that states have not yet learned to control. Welcome to the strategic frontier. Stay vigilant.